The other big news of the day, and it's kind of being overshadowed by these mail bombings, and rightly so, this big caravan that's coming, making its way through Central America. Now it's crossed into the Mexican border, broke through the Mexican southern border on its way to the U.S. What are your thoughts on this? I want to point out that there are a lot of people, myself included, who've tweeted about, we don't really know what element is it within this group of 7. They're not all bad, clearly, but there might be a bad element within there. And the DHS yesterday tweeted saying, in fact, yes, there are gang members and dangerous people with criminal histories traveling with the crowd.
Yeah, and I think Mike Pence yesterday made an announcement or tweeted that they think the financing is coming from Venezuela and from leftist groups within Honduras. Of course, they're attempting, I think, to influence the U.S. election process, to try and attract enough attention. You can imagine that the people like Venezuela are assuming that somehow this activates folks who will hate Trump and come out and vote against Trump's candidates. Again, that's wrong. One, we have to control our border. If all this does is establish that you can't have 5,000 people presenting themselves saying we're in, that is a message that both left and right should hopefully find, yes, we agree with that. Otherwise, the entirety of the world will empty itself into our shores. We can't have that. So I think we're making the case. And it also shows that somebody is attempting to interfere with our elections. So if we're so concerned about Russia interfering with our elections, we should likewise be concerned about these others using these folks as that mother used her children, using these folks from Honduras and just exploiting them and their needs in order to make a political point. That is something else we should reject, and frankly, I hope it backfires.
So if we take this logically, this is a group from Honduras and Guatemala that have now entered Mexico. If I'm not mistaken, they could find political asylum in Mexico. They're fleeing their country, right? So by the fact that they don't want to stop in Mexico, doesn't that eliminate the political asylum argument of this crowd, this caravan, this mob?
Yeah, and you could argue that maybe it's an economic asylum. And you could argue, therefore, they need...
But we don't recognize economic asylum.
No, we do, absolutely do not. Right. It might make the case for we need a better economy in Honduras, which means that you got to address corruption in Honduras, and you have to have better infrastructure, and you have to have more foreign direct investment. Those are all positive things. But that does not mean that those 5,000 people have the right to present themselves at our southern border and gain entry. That's just not acceptable.
The president has said he will cut off funding or severely retract funding to the countries if they don't stop, if the people who are coming don't stop, or in the case of Mexico, if Mexico doesn't stop the mob coming. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think the president has to do something to send a message. And if the funding we're sending down actually creates economic opportunity and people are more likely to stay, that might be counterproductive. But let's also say something, that folks are saying, well, the president is against folks coming from Honduras. The president offered a better deal on DACA, the children who came here when they were so young, they didn't have a will, if you will, their parents brought them here, than did President Obama. He offered twice as many kids who came under the DACA situation to be able to stay and gave a pathway to citizenship. He clearly wants a solution. His only request is, if I offer you this, help me secure the southern border. If we secure the southern border, this would not be an issue. The caravan would not be an issue. So the president, I think, has met folks halfway. He's reached out his hands. Democrats have slapped that hand away.